Hey, folks, how's everyone doing? Let me just reduce the music volume a bit. Let's see, is this perfect? Yep, seems like it. How's everyone? How's it going, folks? Enjoying GHW Games Week. I am pretty sure this is so good, like building games, definitely. It's so good, and I just hope you all had a good time. You all are having a good time. So I'll wait here for a couple of more minutes. Let everyone join quickly, uh, and then we'll get started. Now, anyone who's coming to my stream for the first time, they know I am a big fan of uh, live coding. Okay, so if you want to do live coding with me and you want to build your own HTML games using HTML and JS, of course, then please create an account on Replit. I mean, for all my streams, the amount of kind of publicity that I've done for Replit, I think I am eligible for their DevRel role or something. Definitely. Yeah, developer advocate, developer relations, something like that. But yeah, I just love the whole idea of Replit. You can just quickly prototype. So once again, if you are first or like coming to my stream for the first time, I would request you to please create an account on Replit. Now, yep, there it goes in the chat for everyone. Just love this whole website. So, what I want everyone is, if you want to follow along with me for live coding or something, then please create an account on Replit. Uh, Very simple. Just go on the website, go to the sign up, sign in with Google, and that's it. That's done. That's all you have to do. So, yep, with that in mind, let's wait for just exactly one more minute and then we'll get started. Now, I have two sessions today. This is the first session, which will go on for like 2 hours. In between, we'll have a break of like a couple of minutes, definitely, maybe 5 or 10, depending on our pace here. So that's and then the next session, which is like an hour later. So first session for 2 hours, then a break of 1 hour where you'll have another session coming in, definitely, and then again a session, or you can say a part two of this. And I'll try to build two games. So these are very simple games. If you have a portfolio website, you can actually plug this in your portfolio website. So anyone who's coming to look at your portfolio website, they can have a really good time, just playing around with very simple games. So that is the idea that I am streaming with today. But we'll totally see how it goes with time. But yeah, I'll try to make sure that we have both the games coming. Other than that, so that's the first thing. Second thing is, once again, as always, these streams are going to be really basic. So if you know all about HTML, you know all about JavaScript, I would still request you to stick around. Why? Because then you can help someone else who is new to this whole domain to just basically learn and build. Okay, so yeah, that would be my humble request. Stick around. Now, the last and final thing is just register for the stream. So if you don't have the registration link, I have posted it in chat right now. So please do register. Helps me keep a track of how many people are joining in and how many have benefited from my stream. So with all that in mind, let's get started. Okay. So, number one, that was create an account on Replit. If you have created an account on Replit, well and good. Let us move ahead. So let me first increase the size of the screen a bit so that it's more visible. If you have created an account, once you have created an account on Replit, you will come to the home page. Click on the templates. Okay, on the left sidebar menu, you have templates. Just click on that, and then you have a global search here, search and run commands right on the top, and then you have a search templates. You can search anywhere you want. uh, I think both of them give the answers of the templates that you are looking for. Search for HTML and you'll find two templates, one which has like 1.8k likes and the second one has 52 likes. The first one being used by 8.8 million people, definitely. This is 76.7k people. We'll go with this one, the auto refresh one, because just save the hassle of clicking on refresh or clicking on the run button every time. So yeah, I would say, I would request, go for this HTML CSS JS auto refresh template. And the way you use the template, just click on that option, click on use template. You can give it a name that you want. I will give it as, let's say, GHW dash. As you can see, these are my previous templates, the previous sessions that I've done. HTML JS games dash part one. And description, you can change the description, definitely go for something which you will remember later. So GHW games week, build your own HTML and JS games, something like that. Okay, isn't Replit kind of boring? I don't find it boring, whatever, like whatsoever. Well, that's a preference. Definitely, it's a preference. Uh, the reason why I love Replit is when you are doing something on your local machine, if it is not just HTML and CSS and JS, then you have to install a bunch of things, which is that is kind of boring. Okay, if you don't have a set, uh, you know, environment, that is very much of a pain to set up, especially if it's something really, really, really new. So, which is why I really love Replit. Sets it up for me. I can focus on what I am, uh, building, what I want to tell everyone, what I want to showcase everyone. Okay, with that, just click on the use template option and Replit should boot up. And very soon we'll have something here. Yep. So, with that in mind, there is this big green button to run this, but we'll wait for it. We'll wait for it. What do we have till now? Let's have a quick look at what we have. So we have a index.html, okay, which has very basic hello world and talking to the script.js. Script.js is empty, style.css is empty. So this is what we have for now. Now let's click on this run button and see what happens. Once you run it, you will see something like wheat being popped up here, which is what makes it auto refresh, which is helping it run this and just auto refresh it. You can see this output on the right hand side in the web view. Along with that, you can also open it on a new tab, okay, which is good. Let's open it in a new tab. And this is all it has. There is a hello world on the top left. There's a made with Replit badge on bottom right. Uh, for the purpose of this one, I am like really sorry, Replit, but I'm going to just remove it so that people don't get confused with extra code here. So that's gone. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing, as you can see, if I hover over this, you can see this Replit. Okay, that's the title of the page. Okay, we can change this to GHW Games 1. something like feel free to add your own title definitely to it. And now that's changed. Okay, so we have a new title here, which is good. Perfect. So we are not going to change anything else, at least for now. Once we start building, we will make changes. Now, what is the idea? What are we going to build? We need to know definitely before we just jump right in. So let's see, keep.google.com. And again, very quick for prototyping. So the idea is we can have something like for the first game. Okay, bad. Can I have some grid lines here so that, I don't know, it'll make it easy for me to make a straight line or kind of straight line here. But I hope just, oops, this looks so bad. Okay, forgive my straight line drawing skills here, but this would be basically our canvas. Okay, that's the first thing. uh, this will be our canvas. Okay, now in this canvas we'll have two things. Like, we'll start with two things definitely. We will have a player, which is going to be a box. Okay, this is a player. The player can move on left and right. Okay, so that's the first thing. We have a canvas and we have a player. The player can move left and right. And from the top, we'll have a few falling blocks. So the blocks can move on the y-axis up and down. So they'll actually fall from top, go all the way to the bottom. They won't go up suddenly. Okay, so my bad there. So they'll fall from down, and we'll try to make them fall randomly. And what would be the idea? If the blue box hits the red box, there would be a counter for lives. Okay, so let's create that counter here quickly. uh let's go with something. So we'll have a counter which will show scores and lives. We'll start with 3 lives. Every time the blue box hits the red box, your lives will decrement, and once it reaches 0, game over. And every time you save yourself, your score increases. Okay, so score plus, and that's it. That's the whole idea of the game. Really simple. Okay, anyone who joined me right now, we haven't done much. uh Someone suggested use shapes. Definitely I'll try that next time. uh but yeah, the idea here is we'll make a very simple game where we'll have a canvas, which is the black box that you see. Inside that, we'll have a player, which is this red box. The player can move left and right using the arrow keys on your keyboard. There will be these blue boxes which will be falling from heaven for now. And every time the blue box hits the red box, the lives will be reduced. We'll start with 3 lives, and every time you hit, it reduces by 1. Once it reaches 0, game over. Every time you are not hit, or you basically save yourself, uh, your score will increase. Okay, so we'll start with 0 score and it will keep on increasing. And that's it. That is the whole idea. Now, I hope there's no confusion, but yeah, this is the game idea that I have. Now, that's the first thing. Not the first thing, that is one of the things. I think I've said first thing so many times. There have been so many things that have happened already. Okay, anyone who's joining me right now, create an account on this website called as Replit. Okay, on the Replit, search for a template called as HTML CSS JS and choose the auto refresh template. Once you choose the auto refresh template, click on use template, give a name, give a description, click on use template, and you'll come to a page like this. And you'll have a big green button on top. Click on that play, and that's it. That is all that we have done till now. Okay, let's get started. Now, for building this whole game, what are we going to use? Now, when I was like, I'll tell you a thing on this side. I love these GHW streams because they help me learn new things, especially just hone my skills with regards to JS sometimes, or just I come across these so many great libraries that exist, which make our lives so much simpler. So one of those libraries that I came across when I was preparing for this was Paper.js. So Paper.js, this is such an amazing library. I'll go to the examples and you will find like so many great examples. Like, wow, smooth animations. And it gives you so many options and like just look at the animations, look at the smoothness and the APIs. Those are so great. So we are going to use Paper.js to basically build this whole application. And even for the next application, we'll use Paper.js along with another library. So yeah, let me just share this link with you all if you want to have a look at the documentation. Documentation is great. I mean, it always helps to have an idea of the documentation. But for the purpose of this project, we wouldn't be looking much at the documentation, but in between, I'll tell you, okay, you can find this in detail in documentation. You can find the use of this API in detail in documentation, stuff like that. Okay. So yeah, let's get started. Let's get building. So what do we have? We have Paper.js now, and we will add Paper.js. Now there are multiple ways to add Paper.js to your project. We are going to use one of the ways which I really like. Why? Because it's just simple. Okay, it's simple that you don't have to manually add anything. Okay, so where is the link? Let me quickly find the link. There it is. Okay, so I don't know how many of you like have an idea. I'm pretty sure most of you will have. Uh, but there is this whole thing called as CDN.js and uh, unpackage. Okay, so what is the idea of CDN.js and unpackage? Unpackage allows you to basically add a library without installing it. Okay, example, like on their website you can have you can find examples like instead of using installing React using npm, like npm install React and everything, you can just use this URL will and you'll get everything about React in that. Okay, everything about React, all the APIs and everything without installing it. So we are going to use unpackage Paper.js to basically add Paper.js code to our project. So I'm going to share this link in the chat, and this is like really important, really, really, really important. So what do you have to do? Let me just put it on screen there. So what do you have to do? We'll go to our HTML, okay, and we will add this link, add this script or this whole JS file to our project. Now you can add it anywhere you want, frankly. I am going to add it below the body right here. We'll add a script where the source will be this URL that I shared. And let's close this. So that's all I have done for now. I have added this line number 13. This is very important. This is how you get the whole of paper.js. uh, what I'm trying to say here is, if you see work, download, the recommended way to install and maintain paper.js as a dependency in your project is through npm. So this is one way to definitely install paper.js. Second way would be to basically download their whole code and put it in your project, which is the second way, which is again fine. But then the third way is basically using Unpackage, which is a CDN, which has basically this whole code. And you don't have to download it, you just have to link it. Okay. So that is what we are doing. We are taking this URL and we are adding it as a link, as a script here in the body. And by adding this, we have all the functionalities that Paper.js provides. Okay. Secondly, I think I would like to change the name. Uh, you can say it's just me. So I'm going to change it to game.js because that is more understandable. So that's the second change that I have done. I have added script and source is game.js. Okay. Any questions, anyone till now? Like till now, haven't done much. Added this link. The link is in the chat. Okay, the unpackaged link. Second thing is I've renamed it from script.js to game.js, and that's it. Okay, no questions, which is great. Now, the third change that I'm going to do in HTML is add a canvas. Now, what is a canvas? So you can find more documentation on it, but I will just say HTML canvas again. The Canvas API. It basically provides a means for drawing graphics via JavaScript and HTML. And it is as simple as adding this. Okay. So in your HTML, you just have to add this one line where you say, okay, canvas with some ID. What you can have any ID you want. It can be canvas, it can be my canvas, or anything that you want to say. Okay. And then in JavaScript, you can get that. You can do stuff like this. Like canvas document dot get element by id, whatever you have specified the id here, and then create context, fill, and fill a rectangle, and this is what you get. Let's quickly just test this out. So I'm going to copy this line here from canvas, and I'm going to paste it in the body. uh, I'll rename it as my canvas so that there's no confusion of, oh, do you have to keep the name same? Okay. So line number 12, this is what is the change that I have done. So canvas id equals to my canvas. That's what I have added here. Now let's go to game.js, and I'm again going to copy paste this whole thing in game.js, and let's see, do I get an output? Interesting. I am not getting an output. Why? It's saying cannot read properties of null reading context. Why? Hmm. Okay. Now, what's happening is it's basically saying that, oops, ID of my canvas not found. So I made a mistake. I made a mistake here. Instead of get element by ID of canvas, I have to get element by ID of my canvas. And there you have it. Okay. There is the box. So this is how you can create elements. You can create a rectangle, triangle, circles, and so many other things. You can add a lot of things. And we are going to use canvas for that exact same purpose, but we are not going to manually create it, like fill rectangle and everything. These are the APIs that we'll get from paper.js. So I hope this was understandable with regards to how to create a canvas. Now let's go and start building our game. So you know what line number one does. Okay, what line number one does, it basically gets this my canvas. Okay, this my canvas that you see here, I can, I think, increase the size. Yep, it gets this from our body, and this is our canvas. Okay, and I'll remove everything else for now. Let's do the next thing. The next thing would be, now for the canvas size, as you saw, it was like this small, but you can increase the canvas width and canvas size. So we can call it as like we can do something like canvas dot width equals to 600, uh oops, semicolon. You can also do canvas dot height equals to, let's say, anything you want, like 480 example. Oops, semicolon again. And once you have done this, there's nothing being shown here. Why is that? Because we have not given it a CSS to show, like a border to show, okay, where is the border? Where is this starting and where is this ending? So what we can do is we can use the style.css, or we can actually inject it directly in HTML. So let me first show you how you can inject styles directly in HTML. It's a bad practice, I would say, but just for the purpose of learning, let's see. So you can do a style in the head. Now, this is very important. You have to add it in the head, and you can do like a canvas, and you can go like border will be like, let's say, 2 pixels, solid, and some color. And see, as you can see, this is the box. Okay, the box is now visible. I mean, it was there previously, it's just like not visible to us. uh, you can change the size, so you can increase the size. Let's say instead of 480 you want it to be 200, or yeah, 200. It changes. So in this way you can basically select or dictate the size of the canvas. Now let me just close this out. Okay, so this is our canvas. This is basically our canvas, and we are going to paint in this canvas. uh, okay, that's just cringe, but I like it. Okay, so that's done. Now what's the next step? The next step is to use paper.js. Now we have imported paper.js with this line, and it comes as a paper. Okay, the name of the API is paper. So you can do like paper.setup, and where do you want to set up paper? Inside this canvas. So this canvas is basically where we are going to use all of paper.js functionalities. Nothing changes here because we haven't done anything. Now let's create, let me like quickly show you how to create something. So we can do a const. We'll first create a player. So a player will be our red box, this red box here. Actually, let me do one thing. Let me actually change the border color from red to maybe black. Yeah. So const player equals to, we will create a new player. So new paper dot, and you do a path dot rectangle. Now, how do I know this? This is in the documentation. Okay, examples, if you, yep, if you go here, as you can see, uh, creating a predefined shape. How to create a predefined shape? You can create a circle like this. They are using var. We can use const and let, the newer ways of declaring a variable. You can create a rectangle like this. Var path equals to new path dot rectangle, and then uh, you can basically define what would be the size and everything. So that is how you can create rectangles. Okay, you can create circle, rectangle, any polygon. Okay, it's that simple. So we are actually borrowing this from like this, creating predefined shapes. So we are going to create a new path dot rectangle. Now in this path dot rectangle, we are going to pass a bunch of things. Number one is the size. So size would be, let's say, 40 comma 40. Okay, that would be the size. Second thing is, oops, not a semicolon. Oops. It would be a comma here, uh, because it's an object. Okay, what is an object? It's a key value pair in JavaScript. So size is the key, and this array of 40 comma 40 is the value. So we have created a size. Second thing we will define is what color should it be. So fill color, and you can give it any color. We'll give it, let's say, red. Now we have defined these two things, and as you can already see, it comes on the canvas. Okay, so on the canvas you can see this red box, but where do we want to start it, or just where should it be? So we can go something like, give something like a point. So point is what? If you go here, as you can see, it gives new point 50 comma 50, new point 50 comma something. Okay, you can give it a point. If I change this new point 50 comma 50 to 50 comma 10, click on run, this is what changes. This changes. If I change this to 250, you understand where the x-axis, y-axis, what is changing. Okay, that is what this whole idea of point is. So we'll go here and we'll give it a point. Now for the point, we are going to use something like paper dot view dot center dot x minus 20, comma, paper dot view dot size dot height minus 40. Hmm. And do you see now where's the position of this box? So now the box is on the bottom and it is going to stay at the bottom. What changed? So what is this whole line doing? Would anyone like to take a quick guess? I mean, I'm going to basically tell you, but okay. So it's very simple. What it is doing is, we have the canvas, right? So this is our canvas. So from the center of the canvas on the x-axis, from the center of the canvas on the x-axis, we are basically subtracting 20 pixels. Now, if this was 10 pixels, what would happen? Or let's say if this was, let me increase this. Let's say this was 60 pixels. As you can see, the box is moving from the center. So from the center, or you can just keep it in the center. So this is where it is. On the canvas, it's basically at the center. For some reason, it looks misaligned. So that's why removing this 20. Why does it look misaligned? Because of the size. Okay. And so this is on the x-axis and this is on the y-axis. So if I change this to, let's say, 140, where does the box go? It goes on the y-axis. Okay, it goes on top. So by changing this, so for the height of the canvas, subtracting 40 from there, and you can find the box at the bottom. So this is what this player, this const player thing is doing. And you can change the sizes. So you can change the size to 80 comma 40, and Now this is how it looks like. Okay, but I'm going to keep it as a square box. So that's how we set up the player. Really simple. I mean, this is what the magic of APIs is. It makes it really, really, really simple. Now, moving on to the next part. There's also this option of formatting, which you can use sometimes. Like on these rare occasions, it just fails to format. Okay, you can see there on the bottom right, it says fail to format. Sorry, formatting is not available, something like that. So for these cases, I use something like Prettier IO Playground. Okay, I've used it so many times, it's in my history, but you can do like prettier.io, go to try it online, and you can basically take your whole code and remove theirs, paste it, and just formats it nicely. Adds these semicolons wherever it's not there. When we have more code coming in, it would also wrap it. Just format it really, really nicely. Okay, so it's basically the same code, but just adds all the fluff to it. Okay, so we have created the player. Let's create the enemy. So let's create the blue enemy first. So const blue enemy equals to. Now you know how to create it. New paper dot path dot rectangle, and you can kind of copy this whole thing initially. Let's copy this whole thing initially, but instead of red, it will be blue. Okay, that's the first change. Now after this change, it actually overlaps on the red one, so we are not going to do that. We can actually like from bottom we can keep it anywhere. Let's keep it on, let's say 20. So this is the top. Okay, it's at the top. On the x-axis, let's say if I do it as like 10 or something. Okay, let's keep it at the center. On the y-axis, if I keep it at 10, slightly above. Yep. So this is where the blue box gets created for the first time. You can actually create it anywhere on the canvas you want, but this is where I'm going to create it for the first time. Okay, we have created two things. We have created a player, we have created the blue enemy. Okay, moving on. Now what's the next thing? Next thing is we want to give this red player ability to move left and right, basically dodge the blue bombs that are going to fall. Okay, so let's give that ability. So to give that ability, we'll have to use something like a key down. Okay, now what is key down? Let's go to MDN and let's search for key down. So element key down event. The key down event is fired when a key is pressed. So you can do something like add event listener key down, and if the key is composing or there is a key code of 299, then you can do some like return or do something here, and where these numbers come from. So key code numbers, where are they coming from? Yeah, decline all. Okay, so if I press a key like A, this is what I get. Key code is 65, shift not shift key, did not press alt key, did not press control key, did not press any meta key. If I, let's say, press T, things change. So this is what the key code is used for. Okay, and we are going to key down event is used for, and you can give provide it a key code. Now what is the key code for left arrow? So it's 37. For right arrow it's 39. Can we directly use left or right? Yeah, key arrow left, arrow right. Yep, these are also the options. Nice. Is there something like that on Paper.js? Can Paper.js help us somewhere? Now, there's one thing that I don't really like about this website is quick search. Now, I found it yesterday, definitely. Like where to find that key press. But once I try to find it again, I think keyboard interaction or something. Uh, check whether a key is pressed. Key dot is down is pressed. A something something something. Like somewhere it is basically defined. Oh yeah, event dot key double equals to A is pressed. Like see, A is pressed there. What's happening? W is pressed, and what else? D is pressed, S is pressed. So it can basically detect these key presses. So for the purpose of our project, we are basically going to tell it to detect two kinds of key presses, the left one and the right one. So let's go back and let us add these key press things. So what we add paper dot view dot on key down. We are going to create a function without a name. What is a function without a name called? Would anyone like to take a guess? It's very simple. It is if you don't have a name, you are anonymous. If you are anonymous, I mean, sorry, if no, this last sentence doesn't make sense, but a function without a name, it's called an anonymous function. Why would you need an anonymous function? Because you can basically assign it to another variable. Uh, Here, that is paper.view.on key down. Okay. Uh, so let's create this anonymous function. Now, this function, it will take an event like this. So we are giving it an event, and what is this event? Now this event is going to check the key press. So we'll give it like if event dot key, if it is left, then if player, actually let's remove, if event dot key is equals to left, like we'll have to add this fluff, but let's start with the basic. Player dot position position dot x uh, will basically change by 10 pixels. Okay, now let's see what happens if we are pressing left. As you can see, I'm pressing the left key and oops, it went off the screen, but you get the idea. I'm pressing the left arrow key and this red box, it's moving, okay, on the left. If I'm pressing the right arrow key, nothing happens. So let's add that part. We can copy this line 19, paste it, and we can say if it is right on the x-axis, we have to move plus on the plus side. So you can think of it as the Cartesian coordinate. You have the y-axis, you have the x-axis. From the center, minus 10, like on, if you want to go on the left, you do a minus of 10 pixels. On the right, you can do a plus of 10 pixels. So now it's moving. Okay, now our player can move, which is nice, right? Perfect. So we have created this player which can move on left and right. Perfect. Okay, coming back. Now, what's the next thing that we want to add to it? Let's think. As you can see, there is this particular problem. Like the player can go off the screen, off the canvas. Like when I say screen, I mean the canvas. So player is able to go off the canvas. So what is going to happen is we are not going to see our player if it moves outside of canvas. So we can add a condition there. We can say if player dot bounce dot left greater than 0, then and only then move this player. For the right one, actually we can change this to uh, else if you want. Like we can give only two options. If you're pressing left key, then do something. Else if you're pressing right key, do something. So here again we are going to check the bounce. So if player dot bounce dot right is less than paper dot view dot size dot width, if this is true, then and only then allow the player to move. Let me just quickly pretty this up and you can see what is happening. Okay, as you can see, now we are bounding it. What are we basically saying? So for the first condition, if the player dot bounce dot left is greater than 0, so on the left hand side, if the player is like before this zeroth line, then and only then allow it to move on the left hand side. Okay, and on the right we are basically checking the border and saying that if on the right hand side it is less than the whole width. Okay, so width you can say it starts from 0 and goes up to some number. So if this is less than, or if the position of this red box is less than the width, then and only then allow the red player to move on the right. As soon as it touches like the zero, stop it from moving. Okay, don't allow any more movement on the right. And as soon as it, let's say, touches the left bounding box, okay, the left here, stop it from moving on the left hand side anymore. And so that's how we stop our player from going outside of the canvas. And that's it. So our player can now move on the left and the right, and our player can now, yeah, like not go out of the box, which is, I think, in a way great. Now I'm going to give you all 1 minute to, if someone is following along, to just copy this up. I'll also add a few comments here. Let's say this is like create player, this is create enemy, and here we are basically checking what, check if, I mean, easiest way is to say if there's space on left to move, and this is to check if there's space on the right to move as soon as it hits the bounding. I mean, let's not add anything like that, but that is the idea. Now I'm going to wait for exactly a minute, and you all can copy it up if you are following along. Just play some music for good vibes in the background. Yes, I can. Let me just reduce the song volume. Uh, we made any changes to HTML? Yes, we added a few things to HTML. So this is how the HTML looks like. The most important part is for the bounding box, I've added this style. So you see this black border right here that comes from this inline like HTML style that I've added in the HTML file. So that's the first thing. Second thing is like 17, 18, and 19. Okay, these are three more lines that you have to add. These should be good enough to get started in the HTML. If you did not add anything in the style.css, so you're good there. So I've highlighted these three lines and this style 8 to 12. Okay, these are, I'll also go over it. Okay, yep, it's good now. So here we have added the border and these three things. This is where we create the canvas. This is where we add the paper.js library, you can say. And this is basically referring to our game.js file. So that's it. Now let's move ahead. Let me just stop the music and we can go to party. I mean, okay, just kidding. Let's move on to the next part. What is the next part? The next part, as I think, should be basically to detect the collisions. Okay, what do I mean by collision? I mean when this blue box falls on this red box, I should be able to check that. Okay, so let's quickly add a function to check that. But before that, we also need to define a few variables. Which variables? The first variable would be to keep a track of what is the score right now. The second variable would be to keep a track of the number of lives that are left. And the third variable will be to keep a track whether it's game over or not. So let's quickly define those variables. So game variables. So what are these variables? Number one is let score. Like we'll start with 0. Why a let? Why not a const? Because score will keep on changing. And if there is a const variable, you cannot reassign a const variable. Okay. But here we'll need to keep reassigning it based on what is happening, what is the score, how many times I dodged or saved myself. Similarly, for lives, even that is going to keep changing. So we'll start with, let's say, 3 lives. And finally, we'll have a game over, which would be a Boolean false. So initially, it's not a game over, of course. So these are the three variables that I have defined: the score, the number of lives, and the game over, a Boolean, which basically is true or false. Okay, really simple. Sorry. Now, let's move on and check detect collisions. Collisions. Uh, okay, I think this is the correct spelling. Okay. So we are going to create a function. We'll call it as, let's say, detect collisions. What is this function going to do? So, first thing, what does paper.js give us? Okay. Now, once again, I might need to find it somewhere. Features. Okay. Let me like quickly find it for you. But somewhere there is something called as intersect. Okay, we'll quickly use Google for this. Okay, so intersect in paper.js path interactions. So as you can see, okay, whenever this no intersects with yes, you can see those dots coming in. So this is what intersects helps us, tells us whether something is intersecting. And that is the idea that we are going to use for the purpose of our collision detection. We are going to basically see that whether this blue box, the border of this blue box, intersects with the border of this red box. If it does, that means both the boxes have collided. And if they have collided, I have lost a life. So I hope you got the idea. Let's quickly add that. And since paper.js is so good, it is like if player, which is our red box, dot intersects with our blue enemy. If player dot intersects with blue enemy, reduce the lives. So lives minus minus. Okay. And if that is not true, like else, so if they have not collided, we will change the position of blue enemy. Okay. Now we are not going to understand what this line does unless it starts moving. So I would request you to like quickly uh, go over it, or like basically forget about it for the time being. Once it starts moving, you will understand what this line does, but I'll still try to explain it. What is happening is we are saying that if player intersects the blue enemy, the lives will reduce. Else what is going to happen is we are going to say or basically move the blue enemy back to y-axis on the top, and it will start coming back again from the top. It will start falling again from the top. Okay, but once you look at it in the game, it would be really like easily understandable. Now we have added an option which says that lives should reduce, but we have not said anything like till when it should reduce. Like it will start from 3. First time I collide, it will reduce by 1, so it is now 2. Then it will reduce by 1, it is now 1. Reduce by 1, it will go to 0, and then it will go to -1, -2, -3, because we have not added any condition which says that once lives reach 0, it's game over. So we can add that. So if lives reach 0, then game over. Game over equals to true. Okay, we are setting the game over to true. So we'll not allow it to go in the minus numbers. Like lives will not go to like -1, -2, -3. As soon as it reaches 0, game over is true. Okay, which basically says that game over. Now let's add the next part, which is the most important part. And why is it most important? Because this function that we are now going to create, we'll call it, let's say, update function. The update function is where the magic happens, will happen, more like. What magic? This is where we are going to update the variables, the game variables. We are going to update the game variables in this update function. We are going to draw the screen, redraw the screen every time like the game is over. We'll make the boxes fall in this. So all these things are going to happen in the update function. So let's do that. So if not game over. That is the first thing that we are checking. So when it is not a game over, then we will make the blue enemy dot position dot y increase by, let's say, 5. While it is not a game over, the position of blue enemy is going to increase by 5. And secondly, we also need to tell it that once you reach the bottom of this canvas, once you reach this bottom line, you go all the way down, but then you have a new blue enemy should pop from the top. Okay. So we can't have just one box falling, and once it goes down this bottom line, that's it. That's where it stops. No, we need to tell it that once you go beyond this, you should come back and start falling again from the top. So that is what we are going to write. So we will say if the blue enemy dot position dot y is greater than paper dot view dot size dot height. Okay, so what we are saying, if the y box, oops, I should actually, this would give an error, so that is why let's add this. So score plus plus. So what we are saying is, so what is the uh, position of this y? It's, let's say, at 1. Okay, it's at 1, it will start falling, so it will keep on increasing, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, and the height of this box is what have we written, 480. So this way, this is 480. Once this blue box crosses 480, that means I have, and it has not collided with me, that means I have successfully dodged it. If I have successfully dodged it, my score should increase. So that is what is being written here. So if, yeah, the position y is greater than the size of the canvas, then we are going to increase the score. Along with that, we will also uh, redraw or rebring the blue enemy at the top, like make it fall again from the top. So once I have, my score has been increased, now the blue enemy will again start back from the top of the canvas. Okay, so that is the first update. Now after that, like after this game over, we are now going to also check detect collisions. We will keep checking this detect collisions function. So if it is not a game over, we'll do all of this, and we'll wait that there's no collision. We'll like kind of ensure that there's no collision happening. But I made a quick mistake. Now here I am checking collision detection after the game over. So this is basically always going to be a false. So this should be just one line up. So it should still happen inside the if condition. So if it is not a game over, do all this and then check detect collision. If it's a detect collision, then subtract lives and then move the blue box back at the top. And then again, if it's not a game over, it is not 0, then do all this, and you get the idea. So now we are detecting the collision. Now after this if condition, so basically, okay, let me just quickly take it over to Prettier. So we have it nice and, yep, nicely formatted. So after this line 57, we are now going to do some canvas adjustments. So step number 1 would be to clear the canvas. So paper dot project dot active layer dot remove children. Now I know it looks scary. It's not exactly understandable, but the idea is it clears the canvas. Once you have cleared the canvas, let's add the uh, players to the canvas, because we have cleared the canvas. There's nothing on canvas anymore. So now we need to again add the player. So we'll do paper dot project dot active layer dot add child, and the first child is player. So let me just add a few comments. This is clear canvas, you can say. This is add player. Now let's also add the enemy. Add enemy. So we can actually kind of copy this line, paste it again, and instead of player being added, we'll add the blue enemy. Okay. So we also have to add the lives being shown and the score being shown, but let's refrain from it for a second and quickly just see if everything till now works. So paper dot view dot on frame, we will say again an anonymous function of, let's say, event, and we are going to run the update function there. Okay, so we have a bunch of things that is happening, but oh, screen is frozen. Screen is frozen. Screen is frozen. Is it now moving? I don't know. Refresh it or something. Interesting. Visible. Ah, nice. Yes, Replit should be seen. That is what should be seen. Replit should be seen. Okay. Yep, I am going to wait. Yes. I think till line number 68. This is what we have till now. Uh, Hopefully that much is visible. Let me also add some background music so it's not a dead stream, definitely. But I'm going to wait. What have we done till now? We have added a detect collisions function, which, okay, I should probably change the music. Uh, okay, we have added a detect collisions function, which basically checks if a player has intersect the blue enemy. If they have, then the lives are reduced, and if lives are equal to zero, then game over is true. Else, blue enemy dot position dot y, and then we have added an update function. In the update function, we are checking that if it is not a game over, then just move the blue enemy position. And if blue enemy's position on the y-axis is more than the height, basically says that and this detect collisions here, and the game over closes here. Okay, and after that we are adding the, like we are basically clearing the canvas. We are adding this active layer of add child, where add the player, we add the blue enemy, and then we close this update function. And finally we are saying paper.view.onFrame, and we're running the update function. The update function internally has the detect collisions function. And that's it. That's all that we have done till now. I'll wait for another 1 or 2 minutes for everyone to quickly catch up. Actually, I think this is the perfect time to take a break. So I would actually add a 5 minute, 10-minute breaks, I think. 10 minutes should be fine enough. I'll keep the screen open so you can have a look at the project. Just reduce the font size a bit so that more is visible on screen. Just let me know if it is like not visible. Okay. And perfect. So it's 13:15 right now, 10-minute break, 13:25, British summer time. We'll be back. Like I'll be back. Until then, you can basically copy this whole code that we have till now and add it. Thank you. Hello, hello, hello. And I'm back. So hopefully you all did some stretching. We still have some time left, so that's fine. We have like 3 minutes left. So I'm going to keep this scrolling, but I saw a message saying I get an error which says like id.rep.co unexpectedly closed the connection. So there's no set way to resolve this. I mean, multiple things have worked for me, or I would say random things have worked for me sometimes. One of the ways is just move out of Ripple. So on the URL, you can just remove everything after replit.com. So you'll be back on the home page, refresh it like twice or thrice, do a hard refresh. So on Windows, I think it's uh, Control R F5. I mean, just do Google how to do a hard refresh, and yes, just hard refresh once or twice, and then you should be good. Okay, you should like that. Sometimes that works. Sometimes I have to log out, refresh, and like close that window, log in again. So random things have worked for me. Sometimes just refreshing on this page twice or thrice works. So just see what works for you. Stopping it, rerunning it. So like stop it like multiple times and rerun it. That works. I hope one of these solutions solve your problem. I sincerely hope so. Because yeah, that's the only things that have worked for me for now. Like at least till now. Okay, dokie. Now, perfect. Oh, uh, let's see. Are we back? Are we back? We still have a minute left. Any other questions, anyone? Anything, anyone? I was just looking at the code and I found a mistake in my code. I mean, an honest mistake, frankly, of why this blue box was not moving. I was like, it should. Why is it not moving? Why is it not moving? And I found the answer while I was like looking at it. Let's see, is everyone back? Is everyone back? Okay, it's perfectly the time. Let me just hide this banner and hello. Good to be back. Hopefully, you all stretched. I did a lot of stretching, definitely. And let's come back to our code. So, till now, we have this particular screen, which is looking fine. The only problem is that this blue box is not moving, and it should have. So, what is the error? Uh, Honest mistake from my end. uh, in this detect collision. So what I'm doing here is if player intersects, uh, the blue enemy life should reduce. Okay. Else you have to change the position, which overall it looks fine, but there is a problem. When do we check the intersection? Okay. So intersection should be the outer condition that should be checked, and inner condition should be if the lives is not over. So if the game is not over, then you move the blue enemy back again. So this should move basically here. Okay, and there you have it. So let me reload this page and see, this is 1 2 3, and game over, game stopped. Oh, again, a very honest mistake, but just move this else block after this particular if block after the game over thing. So if the lives is not zero, then we'll move back the position of y. Now also let me just prettify it. uh, okay, so now as I was saying, what is this position y doing? So if I move this to, let's say, 50, okay, see where it starts from. Is it starting from the top? Not sure. If I, let's say, move this to 150, say it's starting somewhere from here. Okay, so that is what that particular position is doing. So instead of starting from 150, we want it to start from 1. Second thing is speed. The speed at which it falls, that can be controlled too. So that is this line number 51. So instead of making it fall at like 5 pixels, we can make it fall at 1 pixel, and we can save ourselves. That is so great. Okay, so you can control the speed at which it falls. uh, for the time being, I'll keep it as 1. So we have added a bunch of things. The last thing that is to add, which is like really 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 important, that is the scores. Okay, the score and the number of lives left. I mean, we definitely want to know what is our score, and what how many lives do I have left, and those things. So let's add that. So inside the update function, we are going to add it. So after we have added the blue enemy to our canvas, let's add the scores. So we'll say const score text, that is a new paper dot point text. You can find more about paper dot point text on paper.js. Okay, you can, yeah. So uh, it's just so difficult to find sometimes. uh, what did I say? Point text paper.js. Yeah, there you have it. So point text, and you can create a point, and yep, there you have it. So let's come back to not test, it's text. So point text, what point do we want, at which position? We want it to be at 10 comma 30. So this is where we want the text to be. What is the content? So as you can see here, you need to define the content also. Okay, yeah, this is a good option. So point at which position. So if I change this to be like 10 comma 50 and then run this, it goes slightly on the left. What is the content, what is the color, what is the font family, what is the font weight, what is the font size, bunch of things. Okay, so let's add these to our code. So content, what would be the content be? So since it's a score, we will say it is basically score, and will also show the score. So the score, we already have a variable for it, as you can remember here. So we'll show the score, and on the right hand side, you can actually see the score right now. Sorry, left hand side, top left, there is the score, and it increases. So when the blue box goes all the way to the down, the score will increase by 1. Okay, so yeah, we are showing the score. What's the next thing that we need to show? We can change the color of it. uh, Add any color you want. We can go with, let's say, black. Okay, font size, it's too small for me, at least for now, so let's change it to, let's say, 16. And this again is not score test, it's score text. And yeah, looks fine, looks good enough, don't you think? What's the next thing that I'm going to change? Not change, add. So we have added score, let's add the lives. Okay, let's also show the lives left. So I am going to actually copy this whole thing. Okay, and instead of score text, it would be lives. text, which is again a point, like we'll tell it where to place it. We will not place it over the score, we'll place it below it. And instead of showing score, we'll show lives. And instead of this score, this will be lives. Okay, what is the color? We can keep it again as black, font size is 16, and I think that is good. Now let's check. Let me just make this box fall slightly faster, okay, so that you can see the lives being reduced. So 3, 2, 1, and 0, and game stops. Okay. So I hope you get an idea how we have shown the score and the lives on the screen. Once we clear the canvas, then we want to see it again. So we can again do something like paper dot project dot active layer dot add child and score text. And similarly we can we can actually repeat this and add lives text. Okay, so we are adding it to the canvas. We have added the score, we have added the lives, we are adding the text on the canvas, and everything seems to be working fine. The only problem is the blue box keeps falling from the same position. So can we change that a bit? Can we make the blue enemy fall from a random position? I've actually given away the answer. We are going to add a random. So where do we add this random? So here, wherever we are increasing the score, we are going to say on the x-axis, the position of blue enemy should just be random. So blue enemy dot position dot x, not that, sorry, x should be equal to, let's say, math dot random, which is a built-in function. Multiply it by, we need to make sure that this box does not fall outside of the bounding boxes, outside of the canvas. So we'll say paper dot view, paper dot view dot size dot width, okay, minus the blue enemy dot bounds dot width. Okay, so let's see, does this? Yep. As you can see, now the boxes are falling randomly from anywhere. Perfect. So this looks good. We have boxes falling from randomly anywhere, and yep, I'm successfully able to dodge it, right? And 3, 2, 1, and 0. Now, what are the other changes that I can make here? Number one, I can definitely increase the speed. But before that, once the game is over, there's no indication which says that, oh, please reload or play again or something like that. So we can add that definitely, right? So let's go back. And here in the game over part, when the game over is true, okay, we can add a reload button. So let's add like const reload button, and we'll say document dot create element. We'll have to create an element. Let's create, this is a button that we are creating. Once you have created the button, you can give it an ID. So let's say reload button dot ID. Call it, you can give it anything. I will say, let's say reload dash button. That is the ID that I'm giving it. What should be the text inside the button? Once the text should be reload button dot inner text. We can say play again. Okay, now that is all fine, but what should happen? So let's say, let's kill ourselves and still don't see the button. So we first need to add that button to the body. So we can say document dot body dot append child, and add the reload button to this canvas, to this whole body, to this HTML body. So 3, 2, 1, 0, and there you have the button. So now you can see this play again button. This is how simply we can add a button on screen, which is fine, which is good. The only problem is it looks ugly, and also clicking on it does nothing. So what we need to do is, once we click on that button, it should reload the whole page. So we can add that here. So reload button dot add event listener. So event listener, I told you, it basically means that it listens to something. uh, Keyboard event listener listens to something. So here the event listener would be a click listener. Yeah, it should be a click, and it's a function which will tell it to do a reload. So location dot reload. Okay, let's check this again. 3, 2, 1, and 0. And now I click on it and it reloads. Perfect. It reloads the page and the game starts again. Click on it, reloads the page, game starts again. Perfect. I think this is going great. So the idea is add a button on the page which makes it reload every time the game is over, which is fine. Can we style this button? Definitely we should. Okay, definitely we should. So let's go back to our index.html. So now the game is kind of over. Now we'll add modifications. Okay, so I think this is the best time to actually take a pause, and I'll wait for any questions that anyone has. We have made a really good, nice game in the easiest way possible. And now we'll do some modifications, like add some styling to it. Style the button. The canvas is on top left of the screen. Can we bring it to the center? Change the colors and all those things. And maybe, just maybe, we'll try to add another enemy. So just one blue, it's fine. Can we add another enemy player? Can we do that? We'll check that. We'll add that. And then I think it will be the time to end the stream. But any questions for by anyone till now? Anything that you definitely did not understand? Also, let me quickly take this to prettier, make it pretty. Perfect. I take the silence as golden. Everyone has understood everything, which I find really pleasing. So let's style our reload button. Before that, let's style the canvas actually. So we can do a bunch of things. This is all that I had tried, and this is what looked good to me. I'm just going to basically write that down. So top 0, left 0, bottom 0, and right 0, and margin would be auto, and border is there, and we can actually give it a background. So background, I would say you can give it anything, 0200617. This is what I am going to go with, but it should be background. Perfect. So you see, this is what changed. So now our canvas is at the center, which is nice, which is fine. uh, you cannot see the score here. The play again button is on the top left, so let's quickly change that too. So we had given an ID to our reload button. What was it? It was called as, where is it, reload button, reload, yeah. It was reload hyphen button. So we'll copy this. In our HTML we can add this. An ID is added with a hash. So reload button, we can do like display as block, and margin as uh, 0 comma 0 auto, not comma, 0 auto. So what changed? Three, come on, three, two, one, and now the button is at least at the center, which is good. What else do we need to change? Definitely add some padding to it. So padding would be 20 pixels and 40 pixels. So 20 on top, bottom, 40 on left and right. And we can increase the font size. So font size, I'm going to keep it at 20 pixels, let's say. What is the background color of the button? It's like currently that gray, which we can change to, let's say, okay, so for my colorings, I try to go to Tailwind CSS, customizing colors. They have these bunch of beautiful looking colors. So I try to pick something from here, definitely. So let's say this 700, click on it, it copies it, and you can come and paste it here. So that's there. What should be the font color? So the text color, I think I chose something here, so I can go with this lightish color for this. No border, we'll keep the border as none. And cursor, so when we hover over it, it should change the cursor to a pointer. So now let's quickly die, and there you have it. Looks good. uh, okay, I think I can make give it a border radius, which I hadn't tried previously. So border radius can be like 10 pixels, let's say, and that's it. So once I die, now this looks like a good button, definitely. So the button is there, this is there. What's the problem? We cannot see the lives and this because the color that we had added was black. So we can actually change that. You can quickly have something from here. Let's say I take this slate 50, and I can change this text color here, definitely. So now score and lives, both of them are visible. And if I die, like, okay, see, this is not a very difficult game. It's like, okay, you want to save yourself, just stay where you want. Right now, at least. So I have to look for places to die. But okay, this is what we have right now. Looks good, looks fine enough. What else? Perfect. The final thing would be to add another enemy. Now, that should be fairly easy because you actually have all the code for it. So here I can copy over this blue enemy and create a new enemy called as, let's say, green enemy. Okay. If I'm going a bit fast, let me know, but it's we have everything. We just styled it. Once the styling has been done, now we are creating more enemies. So green enemy, the color would be, let's say, green so that it's visible. uh, where does this enemy start? It starts from the center, which is fine. This code, it's for player, so don't need to check. This code is for enemy. So here we are checking if player intersects blue enemy. Along with that, we can also do a or player intersects a green enemy. If player intersects a blue enemy or a green enemy, lives should reduce. This is fine, this is fine, else. Okay, why this is fine? Because this is just basically the reload button. But this is where the next magic happens. Once you have uh, if lives are not equal to 0, we create a new box which starts from falling from top. So we will create green enemy dot position dot y equals to 1. So green enemy will also fall. Similarly, if the game is not over, then we are creating this blue enemy position, right? uh, Checking where will make a new blue enemy fall, and a bunch of things. So we can actually copy this over like line 65 to 71 and paste it again. Instead of blue enemy, this will now be green enemy, and this would be green enemy. I should copy this over, and this will again be green, this will be green, and this will be green, and that's it. And what else do we need to change? I don't think anything else needs to be changed. Let's quickly see. Huh. Why is there no green coming over? So green enemy. What mistake did I make? Hmm. Interesting. Let me think. I did not add it again to my canvas. So I've added the enemy to the canvas. I should also add the green enemy to canvas. So green enemy comes on the canvas. And perfect. Okay, this is fine. But why are they falling at the same speed at the same time? Which is kind of weird, right? So let's see. So position Y and this, and green position X, and this is fine, and this is fine. Uh, what can we change? What can we change? What do you think we need to change so that both of them don't fall at the same time? So we can actually just change the speed of their falling. Let's see if that helps. Now it looks like they are falling very randomly from any place, like any directions, anything. Yep, that's it. Perfect. So that's how we have created a game. Nice. You can add so many customizations. Like instead of like two enemies, you can add like three or four. That's the first customization. You can create a tab or create a limit. Like if the score reaches 100, congratulations, you are a winner. You can display that. And yeah, there are like bunch of things that you could do. HTML, yep, I can show you the HTML quickly. Can I just format this HTML? Yep, this is formatted. So we had all of this. The last thing that we added was the style. Let me see if I can paste this style in the chat. Yep, the canvas style is in the chat. Let's see if I can change the style for the reload button, like paste it in the chat basically. Not change. Why did I say change? And this goes in. Since we are not using the style file, so can remove it from here, and we can actually delete this file. So we are left with just two files, index.html, which is just this much, and ns5810. I'm sorry, I don't know your real name. So uh, can I switch over to game.js? I take the silence as golden. Perfect. Oh, yes. Cool. So this is the whole of HTML file. And then in the game, we have created a canvas, defined some game variables, created a player. We have created a blue enemy, we have created a green enemy. So now we know how to create multiple enemies. You can also change the size. So you can make the blue enemy slightly like wider, kind of. That would make it very difficult, I'm guessing, to move. Okay. Oops. Yeah. Oops. Perfect. So that's it. So blue enemy, green enemy. Then we have added some event listeners, which basically checks whether we pressing the left key or the right key. Then we have created a detect collision function, which is very simple. If the blue box intersects the red box at any point, or if the green box intersects the red box at any point, then reduce the number of lives. If the lives is zero, game over is true. It's initially starts with false, but now it is true, and we show a reload button. Else we will make the box fall again from the top, you can actually make it start from like random position. So who is faster? Blue is faster, so let it start from there. Green is slower, let it start from some different pixel. Okay, so yeah, add more to it. And what else have we done? Update. When the game is not over, we'll make the blue box fall, and it will fall at this speed. You can think of it as like 6 pixels per second, and the green is going to fall at 5 pixels per second at that speed. Here we are checking if the blue box goes beyond this bottom line. That means I have successfully dodged it. If I have successfully dodged it, increase my score. And when the next blue box falls, it should start anywhere on the top, like either on the left side or the right side, somewhere, like some random place. It should not only from fall from the center, somewhere randomly it should fall. So that's what we are doing at this particular line, line 68. And then we are making it again start from like the top first position. uh, and here we are checking again for same thing for the green box. And we are also running this function, this detect collision. So if the game is not over, do all this and then check if there is a collision. If there is a collision, the game stops, and once the game stops, then we show a play again button, which is coming from here. And finally we are recreating the canvas, and we are adding the player, we are adding the enemy, we are adding the score, the text for the score and the lives that are being shown here. The point tells where to place this text. Okay, so on 10 on the x-axis and 30 on the y-axis, like 30 down. And this 10 and 60 basically means that 10 on the x and 60 from y. What are we showing? And then we are adding these two things to the canvas. And finally, this is where we run the update function, uh, which basically runs this whole thing. So yeah, that is it. Any questions, anyone? Okay, I take the silence as golden. Now, once again, if you have watched any of my previous streams, you know I am a big fan of open source. So, what is going to happen is I'm going to put all of this code on GitHub. Once it is on GitHub, if you feel like, okay, I can add some new changes to it, some modifications, maybe add a new enemy, blue, green, a yellow enemy, maybe change or make it more styled, add some more functionalities like showing if you have crossed 100 then high score you win. You can also add a button which increases the speed. You can call it as increased difficulty button. So for the blue enemy or for the green enemy, we have kept the speed of it falling at like 6 and 5 constant, like 6 pixels per second or 5 pixels per second. You can actually add a button like somewhere here or anywhere on the page which says increase difficulty. So when someone clicks on that button, it should increase this speed by like 1 or 2. Okay, so that means the blocks will fall like really 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 fast. Example, if I change this to 10 and this to 15. Ah, oh my god. Like shit. Oops, 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 oops. No, no, no. Like, oh, like by the time I'm actually able to dodge it, it just like kills me. So you get the idea, right? You can add that option to increase the difficulty. And yeah, these are the things. So I hope you all enjoyed this session. 1 hour later, join me again where we are going. Please share your. I'll actually put it on GitHub. So take it definitely from there. For this Replit, sometimes I just keep changing here and there, so it becomes really difficult to keep a track. But on GitHub, you will have a proper code. Uh, Proper being like, I have done some styling, some better styling. So I'll take all that, put it on GitHub, share that. So I can actually share the repository where I normally put all the GHW, not the GitHub, all the GHW things that I keep doing, all the sessions that I keep taking. And this is the GitHub. Okay, so as I was saying, I hope everyone enjoyed it. Thank you so much for joining in. Definitely join me back again an hour later. But before that, like in between, you have a session. Uh, about Tetris mini event. Don't you think this looks slightly like Tetris? But yep, definitely join for the Tetris mini event, which is happening after this. And after that, we'll have another session where we are going to use Paper.js along with something else. And we will create, again, a really simple game. And both of these games, you can actually take it, put it on any portfolio website that you have. So if someone visits your portfolio website, you can have this option of play collision game or play the second game, which I'm not going to reveal the name yet. But join me again. I am sure you'll enjoy it. It has something to do with music. So that's the hint. Okay, doke. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you again. I'll just pause for like a minute if anyone has any questions, then I'll be gone.